So what's your favorite book?
So it's a Dutch book called Geschiedenis van Mijn Seksualiteit by Toby Lakmaker. It's actually a very unconventional novel, so it's not this one clear storyline, but that's a combination of anecdotes about the main character, Sophie, growing up and discovering more about their gender and sexuality and dealing with loss and coming of age.
So my favorite book is The Gleam of a Green Blue Grids. So the book is more about the different structures in the Netherlands. So we have blue and green structures, and we have a lot of climate problems in the Netherlands, and they actually teach us how you can deal with it or how you can come up with innovative ideas to counter those problems.
Is this something that you've learned from that book or perhaps maybe inspired you?
I think I learned that I will never be as witty as the writer is. It's very smartly written, and I don't know, it's just very funny, and maybe that we shouldn't take ourselves too seriously. That's also a bit, it's a lot about pretentious writers in Amsterdam, pretentious people.
It really helped me during my study to be more sustainable in my projects. Yeah, I mean, I think it's the most important because I'm now studying landscape architecture. I think one of the most important things is to keep in account climate change and to deal with that. And I think that book is really a good basic structure to help you think about the problems in a different way than you used to.
So you would recommend the book as well to others?
Definitely, it's the best book I've written last year. Or not written, read.
Yeah, if you are in a design class or something like that, you should definitely take the book. Yeah, buy the book.
My favorite book is Unbroken. It's about a guy named Louis Samperini, and he's Italian, and he grew up very poor, and because of willpower he starts running and eventually qualifies for the Olympics in Berlin. But then the war breaks out, so he doesn't get a chance to go on with running, so he has to become a pilot. And eventually his plane crashes and he has to survive for 47 days at sea, after which he's rescued by the Japanese and he ends up in a prisoner camp.
Favorite book is Children of Time by Andrzej Tchaikovsky. It's about a post-human planet. There is humans decided for it to be a new haven for the new humans. However, turned out spiders took over and evolved on that planet.
Well, I think it's really inspiring because, of course, he has experienced a lot of hardships, and still he manages to never lose hope and to go on, and that's also why it's called Unbroken, because he never stops, and I think it's really inspiring.
So, as somebody who studies entomology and really likes every small critter and loves ecology, it was just really interesting to see this new type of evolution and ecology play out in real time. It really grasped my excitement for what I love to do in my studies.
So would you recommend the book to others?
Oh, totally. Yeah, it's super cool.
From over the past few years, I would say Becoming Supernatural from Joe Dispenza. It's more in the direction of mindset change, so lifestyle behavior. It's about how through controlling your thoughts you can change your life and basically achieve any dream. In that case, specifically about healing your body, either mental or physical health, and how basically through positive affirmations he explains scientifically what changes in your brain to actually have the power to heal your body.
Sapiens by Yuval Noah Harari. It's very broad. It's basically about the history of humankind, all the way back from the prehistoric times and the progress that we've made so far.
Yes, definitely. That's why it's also my favorite book, because it has inspired me, and I also tried to adapt the lessons I learned from the book in my everyday life, and also share the information with other people so they can try to also adapt it.
Maybe the progress is not always progress.
Can you maybe elaborate on that part?
Yeah, so he explains in the book that obviously how we came to where we are now and a lot of the choices we made, and that brought us further in one way, but also a step back in another way in terms of, for example, health and society and wealth forward and health backwards.
Would you recommend it to others?
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, there's a lot to learn.
Definitely. But it also depends on if you're into those topics and if you believe that you have the power to change with your mindset or also heal your physical body. Some people just aren't very convinced of that. So I would mainly recommend it to people who are also convinced of those facts.
Aan het Westenfront geen nieuws. Yeah, so it's actually quite a sad book. It's about the First World War. It follows a group of German soldiers, and well, they show really, about this war and how brutal and cruel this war really is, and how these people who went to this war really could not function anymore in normal society. Really made impact on me.
So for me, when I was a child, I read Oorlogswinter, and it's about a small boy in the Second World War, and he's affected by it. And in the book, his father dies, and at the end of the book, there's a big twist. I'm not going to spoil that, but for me, it was really interesting how a war affects a small boy in a small neighborhood. And because I was a small boy, but then I felt really the emotions were really real for me. What I've learned is in war there are other forces. So for instance, that you not can trust everybody.
Well, inspired, I'm not really sure about that, but it was really a sort of eye-opener. It was made quite some impression at least.
So would you recommend the book to others?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Humankind, Rutger Bregman. I've always found that most humans are kind, but this book really gives the arguments and a lot of examples of that most humans are great, that most humans are kind. I really love this book. And especially in these times, I think it becomes even more relevant.
My favorite book would be Looking for Alaska from John Green. It's about I think a 16-year-old guy who really has a bit of a boring life in a small town and doesn't really do much, and he wants to look for the great perhaps. So he's going to this college, like this eternity, where you also sleep, a university where you also sleep. And his dad went there and he always had great stories about it. So he wants to at least have the possibility to get a better life and a less boring life. And then some things happen. He gets to go together, do all this stuff that's not really allowed in school. And it's just a really fun story. And then there's a big plot twist in it.
Yeah, I think I experienced it myself a lot already. I've been lucky enough to be able to cycle a bit around the world, not the whole world, in Europe and a little bit in Latin America. And I found out that most people you meet are actually curious, helpful, just great people. And many of my friends and even my parents, they tell me but it can be so dangerous. And what I think one of the things which is most dangerous in their minds is other humans. And I think this book is a great example that it's not true.
Maybe to just try things more. It's not really the YOLO mentality, but more if you don't know, if you don't try, you don't know. And also it was for me a period in my life where I had a little bit more trouble with my mental health. So it really made my days better reading that book. So that made me read the book, I think, 3 times.
So would you recommend the book to others?
Yeah, I would. It was also really fun because it was for me one of the first English books I read, and it was, in terms of vocabulary, a bit more difficult, and they used some more difficult words which I really liked. And it was a fun book as well, and it had some good meanings as well too in it, and some sadness, some laughs as well. So I would recommend it.
Okay, thank you very much.